welcome to today's edition of CovInspiration with Dayo. Israel, it's another amazing day. I would say Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim viewers who are watching us from all over the world. We pray that the blessings of the Almighty Allah will be upon you and your household in this season and forever. In Jesus' name. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for joining us on YouTube and Facebook and all the platforms that you are connecting with us. And thank you for your data. Yesterday, we had an amazing time. It was an hour, 30 minutes with the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture in Lagos State. But today, we have an interesting episode today. Something that we believe that a lot of people are interested in and concerned about. It is an honor and pleasure for us to have on the show today the Special Assistant to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, feeding children in our public primary schools across the country every day, and now they have revamped and re-strategized how they are feeding and distributing. I have on the show Mrs. Titi Adeyemi-Doro. Mrs. Doro, good evening. Good to see you.
Good evening, Honorable Dayo Israel. Nice to be with you this evening.
Good to see you.
And thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure. Are you in Lagos or Ogun State now? Because I know you've been traveling because of the distribution and the palliative.
Yes, I'm in Lagos. We're still in Lagos, yes.
Fantastic. I know that a lot of people are on the show to hear about the serious things and about the homegrown school feeding program, but I'm not going to start from there because the reality is we need to know the people behind many of these things. And most of the times, the reason why we have challenges believing any ideas or project of the administration is because we don't even understand the people who are behind many of these ideas. So who is Titi Adeyemi-Doro?
Well, good evening, everybody. Titi Adeyemi-Doro is the Special Assistant to the President on the National Homegrown School Feeding, a mother of 5 children.
Wow.
And, well, just someone that is passionate to make a difference. I've always loved working with children. So I believe that my coming on board is just, on board the National Homegrown School Feeding Program is just divine. It's always been a passion. It's always been something I've always been involved in right from when I was young. And service to humanity is what I love. And I'm just here to answer questions on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program and to take people through the process and get the buy-in of everyone and the support of the general populace.
Mrs. Doro, I'm aware that you played a lot of critical role before the administration came into force. You served on the PYO support group and you did a lot of work to ensure that the current administration was really elected back into government. What was your experience like during the election, in particular on the night of the election? What was your feeling? Were you scared? Were you exacerbated? How did you feel about the election? Because I know that you played a lot of role in that system.
Yes, I was part of the team. I worked with the campaign group in 2015 and also again 2019. And well, it was an experience. It was an experience. And the night of the election. Yes. I'll say, having done all, I rest my case. So on the day of the election, I was strolling back and forth my neighborhood, collating results from different polling units, posting it on the platform at the set time also. we headed to the situation room and we were monitoring the election results coming in from all the states. And at some point, everybody was worried because the figures were not looking good. But I mean, after a while, things picked up, and we were putting the numbers together. And before the end of the day, we were sure. I mean, okay, by the following day, by morning of the following day, we were quite sure that it will come our way, and it did.
The government was going to be re-elected.
Yes.
The reason why I asked about this was because was one of your fear that if the administration was not re-elected, programs like the homegrown school feeding program, may not continue, and that would have a devastating effect on the children that you were trying to serve. Was that one of the reasons why you were scared that you didn't want anything to happen in a change of government because of the children?
It was one of the major scare I had. It's not just the homegrown school feeding program, but the entire social investment program itself. We had the Empower for the youths. We had the CCT, conditional cash transfer for the poorest of the poor. We had the homegrown school feeding program. And, everyone was like, oh my goodness, these programs just had to continue. But we were sure of one thing. We were sure of one thing, though, that with the work that had gone into those programs, with the impact that it had made, we were sure that the numbers of households we had touched, the youth we had touched, we knew that they were on the field working to push votes our way. So, I mean, that alone gave me the confidence that, okay, everything you've done over the years, I mean,
I don't know if you can hear. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Really impacted people, but at that point,
So you said that you were concerned about the impact and of the social investment program as a whole. Was the social investment program really impactful? What kind of impact has really been made? Because the reality is, I think about last year or so, it was still said that Nigeria, the poverty rate index in Nigeria was still very high. So would you say that with the figures coming from the World Bank and International Agency, that the social investment program is really working and touching people's life?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the social investment programs is one that I know with the way it was structured under the administration, the implementation framework and all, we knew that we were reaching the people that needed the intervention the most. And the stories are there, the figures are there, the data is there. We have we've had people come on board, different NGOs, CSOs, organizations coming to say that, look, share the details, share the data. We want to meet with these people. Some we have taken to the field ourselves. We've shared data. We've allowed people call directly to these beneficiaries, and it's an open, transparent process. So anybody that wants to really verify what is going on there, we are glad to share information, and you can go out there and just see things yourself.
I think we would like to hear some of the stories of impact. Do you want to tell us a story of some of the impact from the Empower program and the CCT before we then come into the homegrown program afterwards? Are there any exceptional stories from the Empower or the conditional cash transfer?
I would start with the Empower. I mean, there's the story of a young man in Ondo State, Ilaje community. This this guy, I mean, with the Empower stipend of 30,000, he started a business. Farm fishing, and he focused on crayfish and all of seafood. And from there, the business has grown so much that at some point he wrote to the Empower program that he would like to exit the program because now he can stand on his own. From the stipend, he has grown his business. I mean, he has connected so many of the larger communities and they're doing great. And the linkage, and because of the impact he was making and the National Homegrown School Feeding Program also coming on board, through the Ondo State government, he got onto the Homegrown School Feeding Program and was supplying crayfish to the children as part of the ingredients to prepare their meals and all of that. And now he's out of the Empower program and he's doing so well on his own. We have beneficiaries that went into farming and they have exited the program too because they have now become employers of labor themselves and they are doing fantastically well. Under the conditional cash transfer, these women are coming together, with the little they are earning. And, we have the case of the woman that, bought a goat from her, from her allowance and went into, milking the goat and supporting even her community with the little she gets from selling, this milk and all of that. And we have women, I mean, there's also the case of another elderly woman. She started off a wood business, selling firewood and all of that. And she's doing well, supporting her communities. They are coming together, from their little allowance. These women have come together to, drill boreholes to support even their own communities with boreholes and all of that. And they are doing so well. These are people that before now they could not even boast of, having 1,000 naira in their hands. So the program is making an impact in different ways. And there are testimonies out there that abound on the impact of the programs.
Before I come to the homegrown school feeding program, which a lot of our viewers are interested in, Olufemi Aldewale, one of the viewers, says, what is the future of Empower volunteers? I hope they will not be discharged back to the street. Any comment on that?
Well, I know that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is working to ensure that for those that have been on the program in the last, for the past 3-4 years,
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I can't hear you, Madam Special Advisor.
yes, should be exited into some, we're working with
I'm not sure if you can hear me. My network. Let me watch on my Okay, I think I lost her a bit there due to network, and I'm hoping that she can reconnect back to us and come back into the studio. I'm sure she will join us back in a few minutes. Please bear with us as we wait for the Senior Special Assistant to the President to reconnect back and join us in the studio. I'm sure that she's trying to come back with the link. It's just a signal challenge and a network challenge, and then we can continue as soon as she does. Um, if you give me a second, let me try to reach her back. Okay, she says her internet went down. Waiting for her to reconnect back. And let me just reply that. We are waiting for you. Okay, yeah, she's reconnected back. Okay, thank you. The special assistant is back here. Sorry, we lost you, the internet. Welcome back.
Sorry, my internet went. Okay,
Yes.
it's working to ensure that these people, the last batch of empowered beneficiaries are absorbed into various organizations, and they are engaging at the highest level to make this happen for them.
Excellent. Mrs. Doro, let's come on to the homegrown school feeding program. I just got a message this evening after I sent the broadcast that you were going to be joining us. The gentleman said, this is a terrible scam and a big disappointment. How can the government feed children when they're at home with their parent? It is totally unacceptable. I believe that there is a misconception about what is going on. Perhaps people don't understand what this is and what this food distribution is about. Can you shed more light? Let me give you the floor to shed more light to Nigerians about what is going on and how this is being done. I also have questions after your presentation, and I'm hoping that you might capture it. For example, questions about the process, your aggregators, the selection process, and your database, and many others. You have the floor as long as you need to explain to Nigerians really what this is about, and let us know, is this a scam or not? Is this another way to siphon money as people are alleging or not? Over to you.
Okay. Yes, you're very right. I can understand if people feel this way, but it's a misconception, and I'll just run us through the process of our engagement with states on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, and what we have adopted, the new strategy we have adopted to feed the children or provide food rations to the children while at home. Before now, the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, our first point of entry into any state is through the state governor, and to get their buy-in on the program. And once we get a go-ahead, the state is to set up the implementation committee. We go to the states to run a workshop on all the processes, making it clear the objective of the program. And basically, during this workshop, we address issues bordering on health, hygiene. We engage with major stakeholders in the state, and the ministries that are major stakeholders on this program are the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agric, Women Affairs, and any other ministry that the state thinks they will need to execute, to implement the program, within the state. Now, the Ministry of Health, during the workshop, they are supposed to come up with a menu that is supported with the crops that are grown within each state. That is why we call it a homegrown school feeding, the homegrown school feeding program. The menu is built based on the agricultural products that is grown within that state. And once this is done, we also have the education, Ministry of Education, through their SUBEB. They are to provide data on the children in public primary school, primary 1 to 3. And I would like to also quickly state here that the budget for this is 70 naira per child, per day. And each of the ministries are supposed to work together. And so as to coordinate properly, we encourage the states to set up this structure within the office of the governor or his deputy. So coordination of the entire program is done from the office of the state governor. Now, once we've run through this
process, run through the process, you meant? I think the special advisor's internet is having some issue, but I'm sure that she's with us, and if she's... Can you hear us, Ma?
Yes.
Okay.
The next is done.
Please bear with us, the special advisor. Yes, okay, I think your internet keeps going and coming, but we can hear you.
Okay, so once the implementation, the training workshop is done, and those cooks are supposed, the layout, the framework is that the cooks are to be recruited from within the communities where these schools are, because the 70 naira is strictly for feeding the children. It doesn't have logistics in it. So we encourage that you recruit your women from within the community where those schools are, so that the community also can take ownership of the program, and also to ensure that integrity, recruiting the cooks. That's the women that will be feeding the children.
Yeah, who does that? Who's in charge of that? Your office or the state government?
No. The state government is responsible for that. Now, the training workshop is just to set the framework and the objective of the program, which is to ensure to improve school enrollment and completion, improve child health and nutrition, increase local agricultural production, and also to create jobs and improve family and state economy. Now, once all of this is made clear during the training workshop in the state, once this is done, the state is supposed to begin recruitment of cooks within the communities where these schools are. And in recruiting the cooks, they are to ensure that they get referees from within their communities. Their referees can be the Bale or the Emir within that community, or the head of the community, to say that we know this woman, she's one of us, and we are comfortable with her feeding our children. Now, once this recruitment process is done, the state is to also run health checks on all these cooks. Once the health check is done, and what we are looking for, what they're supposed to check these women on are basic health issues like tuberculosis, HIV, to determine their status and ensure that they are safe. It's safe to put the feeding of these children in their hands. Once all of this is done, the state is also to engage a bank to open accounts for all these women. Once those details are gotten, we have a template that we send to the states, to capture the details of all the cooks. Once this is done, we run a verification. They are the custodian of BVN for the entire country. Once this verification is done, to be sure that we are not making payments to ghost cooks, or that the data has not been manipulated, and at the end of the day, the children are not being fed. We run this verification, and it comes back to us with all the necessary reports. Now, we only engage with cooks. When I say engage, I mean we pay directly to the accounts of these cooks, and the cooks we pay to are those that are cleared by Nigeria to the accounts of the cooks based on the number of children that has been assigned to them to feed. Once this is done, we start monitoring. Now, remember I said during the training workshop, the Ministry of Health, through their dietitian, they build a menu to ensure that a third of the nutritional need of the children is captured, is provided for per day. So the four basic nutrients that have to be captured per meal is carbohydrate, protein, we all know you understand what
Yeah,
once that is done, we hold the states to that food menu. So on Monday, we know if you're in Benue State, on Monday, we know what you're supposed to feed the children. On Tuesday, we know what you're supposed to feed them. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And is there a monitoring process for this to ensure? Is there
this menu is also shared with? Yes. So yes, team, and also we have NGOs, CSOs monitoring along with us in all the states and giving us FCC, the DSS. They are all monitoring this program, and they send us up. We know them. They give us all their details, and we take them out. We report to the states. We share these reports with the states that are affected, and they do their investigation as well. And once they come back to say true, we take that the woman off, and the state appoints another cook immediately. Once we make payments, all the monitoring teams at all levels, that payment has been made for February, payments have been. So we pay in advance them that they should form cooperatives, because we've come to realize that when we make bulk purchase as cooperatives, they are able to earn something at the end of the month.
Amazing.
So this has been the process. Now, for the engagement of aggregators, we have certain food items that are aggregated, and for good reasons. Take, for instance, protein. We know that protein is high risk when it comes to food poisoning, that if it's gotten wrong, it will affect the health of the children. So we encourage the states, especially states that have the resource to do it, and they have the manpower, that please go ahead and aggregate. Now, they go through at the state level, they go through their procurement process. They engage an aggregator. The aggregator is supposed to work with the smallholder farmers. We are not looking for a one-man show. Now, take for instance, for the state that is feeding eggs to the children, we engage with the Poultry Association of Nigeria, the state's chapter. Now, what they now do is they engage with all their smallholder farmers within the state, and they mop up. We pay directly to them. Once we get a letter from the governor saying that so and so company A has been engaged to provide egg for the children at so price. Now, about the pricing, because it's a they're purchasing, wholesale. We expect that the items will come. Take for instance, poultry eggs. We expect to have the eggs supplied at farm gate prices. So the prices have to be competitive with what we have in the open market. So in the open market, if egg is being sold for 35 naira, we expect that on the program you should be able to give us at 29 or 30 naira. Because it's business coming your way. So they organize all their the poultry farmers in the states, in all the local governments. The state shares the data of all the schools that have been captured, that they have cooks in. They share it with them, and they organize themselves in all the local governments. They know the schools that they are supposed to, the cooks they are supposed to supply to. They are clear on the quantity they are supposed to supply to each of those cooks based on the number of children the cook is feeding. And that process goes on like that. We also have aggregation of chicken, we have aggregation of fish, we have aggregation of meat. Take for instance, in Lagos State, we have the Butchers Association doing that for us. And it also comes, it's cost effective. But for any aggregator to be paid, the state would have done its procurement process, and the governor writes us and tells us this, and it's only the governor that can. We only honor the letter coming from the governor. He's the only one that can write us to say that these are the aggregators. So without the state governor's letter, we
Not even
cannot
the
engage.
SUBEB or the Ministry of Education.
No, it has
Not even
to be
the
the
commissioner
governor.
or the SUBEB. Okay.
So,
Let me also throw this in quickly. So if I'm a smallholder old farmer and I have a lot of eggs that I want to sell, what is the process? Do I need to go and register with the Farmers Association or the Poultry Association, or I can approach an office or an agency to join? How do I get captured by your aggregators?
Now, if you want to take, for instance, for eggs, if you want to be part of it, then you go register with the Poultry Association. So for any states that we have the Poultry Association engaged, then you
I'm sure the SA's
come under
internet
the
is
Poultry
acting up.
Association, and depending on how much, the quantity you supply to them, they pay
I think we're having okay. Your internet keeps going off, but it's okay. We can hear you. Let's move quickly from that process of the normal homegrown school feeding program to the current system that you're practicing. Um, and then we can come back to the overall goal of the homegrown school feeding program process. Now you're not feeding children in school, you're feeding them at
Yeah.
home. How is
Yes.
that possible?
Okay, so now we all know that the president gave a directive on the 29th of March that the school feeding program has to go on, and that we have to look for a way to ensure that food gets to those children at home. Now, with that directive, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs engaged with the Governors Forum to brainstorm on the best way forward, what strategy we can adopt to reach these children. And what was agreed to was that we will go with the take-home, we will go ahead with the take-home ration. And the governor said, that we should engage with this SUBEB, universal basic education. Within, they have structures in all the states, and they are the ones responsible for the public primary schools. That we should engage with them with our current data, so that they can help us identify the children at home, because they have the register in all the schools for the children that are engaged on the school feeding program. Now, for us to come to figures, there's the WHO inference that 3 children will most likely come from one household. And taking that into consideration, the total number of children being fed currently on the homegrown program, we divided the figures from each state by 3 to arrive at the number of households that we would budget for. Now, with that, we made provision for those households per state. Take, for instance, Lagos State. Lagos State's just coming on board. Yeah, they're still. When a state comes on board, their data continues to improve because it's a long process. Recruiting those women, it's a process on its own. Recruitment, health checks, opening accounts, and all of that. It's a process on its own. It takes months at times to conclude on that process, because most of these women, before now had they were unbanked. They had no business, because they had no source of income in the first place, talk less of opening bank accounts and all of that. And, opening a bank account also has its requirements, which, most of them, ordinarily you will say they are not qualified for, but we were able to get some exemptions for them because of the peculiarity of the program, So, we arrived at the figures, did the budget, and the aggregators that had already been engaged by the state governors were the ones we paid to go and source all of these items. So the ministry did not go and bring some aggregators from outside the program. So they were the same aggregators that were already engaged on the programs that the monies were paid to procure these items.
It's not the federal government that secured the people that, for those who don't understand what aggregators mean.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said, for those who don't understand what aggregator means, aggregator, can you explain that to them? What they are, because a lot of people might find aggregators strange. So if you please explain that, and then can you confirm?
Okay.
But it was the state government that secured the aggregators, and not is it or not the federal government? Am I correct?
Yes, yes. So aggregators are simply the suppliers. Why we call them aggregators is that, the process is not for them to be the ones to supply everything, but, be the coordinators, be the one, bringing all the smallholder farmers together and getting items from them, So that's why we refer to them as aggregators. But in general language, you will call them suppliers or contractors. But on the program, they are aggregators because they are not working alone. Like I explained earlier, for eggs, you engage all the smallholder farmers. For chicken, you engage. For butchers association, I mean, they can't do, no one person can do that. Yes. So that's why we call them aggregators on the program and not just suppliers.
How genuine is the database that is being used under this current program? How are you sure that the people that you are giving are really the ones that need it? What process have you put in place to ensure that the palliative or the take-home ration is going to the right people?
Okay, so I'll speak to the process we've engaged. I mean, we started with FCT, and Lagos State had it flag off. We also distributed to within 7 local governments yesterday. So what we did was coming to the state to engage SUBEB. And with the data that we had already generated on the program, we knew the cooks, we knew the number of children assigned to these cooks, and we knew the schools that these children attend. So we to the state.
I think your internet is fluctuating. Can you move a little bit? Your internet is fluctuating.
That we had.
Mrs. Doro, I'm not sure that we can hear you. Your internet seems to be fluctuating. Please confirm that you can hear me. Maybe you want to move a little bit. Okay. Okay, yes, you're better on here. Okay, yes. Okay, we can hear you now.
So we took the data, we took the data to SUBEB. SUBEB they have the register of these children. So what we now did was, with the register, we're able to identify the children to their homes. And once this was done, the next phase was to kick off the household identification exercise. Now, what that is with the data obtained from SUBEB on the household's address and all of that, we now went to the homes of these children to ensure that of a truth they work in those children live in that house. Also, we took the details of their parents, the number of children in that household, and during the exercise, we experienced we had different experiences. Got to some homes, and we discovered that the children had moved out of. They had moved out of maybe that household had moved out of that address. We're able to track them to where they are currently, and after that identification process, we now went further to re-verify the data, the household data that we got from the exercise, and with that data we distributed vouchers to the identified households. Now the food voucher that was used comes in duplicates. Now one side has a QR code, and the other portion, it's a duplicate copy where you have details that you will fill in: name of the household, phone number of the parent, address of the school, and the parents also sign off on that voucher to say that, okay, we got the voucher and we gave out our details. Now, the QR portion of the voucher is given to the household representative and that portion of the voucher will now be brought to the distribution center on the day of the on the day they are supposed to come and pick up their food items. And once they get to the distribution center, the food voucher is scanned to ensure that there are no duplication, and then the details on that on the food voucher is also compared with the duplicate that the team that went out on the household identification brought back, and a verification is done before they are handed their take-home ration.
My mic is muted. Sorry, are you feeding all the children in the school, or you're just feeding a little number? Are you feeding all the children?
I said the way we generated the data was that on the assumption that 3 children live in a household. Now, the identification, the household identification.
Yes, I mean, based on the school database, are you feeding from primary 1 to primary 6, or just primary 1 to primary 3, or the EECD classes? How many children are you feeding based on the school?
Primary 1 to primary. No, we are feeding just primary 1 to 3. Our data is based on primary divided by 3 on the assumption that 3 children.
Keep going. We can hear you. Keep going.
Okay. So based on the assumption that 3 children come from the same household, we divide the total number of children we have from primary 1 to 3 by 3. And take, for instance, in Lagos, we have 37,589 households to feed. And the data, the household identification process also helped us to ramp up on our data, because we also realized that in some households there were just there was just a child in the household and all of that. So we knew that, we knew from the on-go really that, more households should be captured. And with the household identification process, we're able to also tidy up on data so that the next, if the pandemic and lockdown continues, the next batch of palliative distribution will capture more households, and our drive is to ensure that no child that should benefit is left out.
So when you've only done 7 local governments in Lagos. When do you intend to do the remaining local government? Are you doing that based on the 20 LGEAs in the school authority or based on the 57 local government? And when will the rest be captured as well?
Okay, we're doing it based on 20 local governments. So we started with 7 yesterday, and by Wednesday we will continue, and hopefully by Friday we should conclude with palliative distribution for the 20 local governments.
When are you going to go to the other state, Ogun State or your state, Ekiti State, or is this just the Lagos and Abuja thing?
So the first 3 states to go were the first set of states that were hit by the pandemic, which is FCT, Lagos, and Ogun State. FCT did their distribution last week. Lagos commenced theirs yesterday, and so the next stop now is Ogun State.
I know that you're going to have to go very soon, but I'm going to take this quick question on the Empower program before I give you my final question. One of our audience says, Julius Adedoja says, it has been observed that most Empower participants don't go to the place of primary assignment. What do you have to say about this, and what mechanism is the SIP program putting in place to correct this? Is it something that you can provide a response on? Madam Special Assistant, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Mrs. Doro? I think there's internet again. Please bear with us. I think the internet from our side is having a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure she's going to be back with us to respond to that question before we take our final sets of questions, and we can wrap up for today. Please bear with us. I'm sure she's going to be back on in any moment. Please, if you have any questions that you have about the Home School Feeding Program, this is the time for you to ask.
The program completely.
We can't see you, man. I'm not sure. Okay, yes, I think you're back now. The internet went off, so we didn't hear anything that you said. Please, can you say that again?
Okay, so what I said was that for Empower beneficiaries that default, once it's reported, the information is shared with their states, and what is done is that their payment is placed on hold, and they are given 45 days, to come forward and defend themselves. And if they are found wanting, they are taking out the program and their payment stopped.
Finally, what is your assurance to Nigerians about the intention of your administration, of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, to tackle poverty, inequality?
Also, issues.
Can you hear me?
Also had issues where, maybe in the process of registration, situations like that, we hacking of their colleague and then delist them. And but for those that really default, it's kind of Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. The network, yes. Okay, I think we lost her there. She's going to be back, and we'll take the final set of questions. If you have any questions or any concern about the homegrown school feeding program, please do post them in so that we can ask. Thanks, King Cho Matthew from Kenya, for joining us on the show. Thanks, Eson Sefi, for joining us. If anyone has a question, please do share with us so that we can ask the special assistant to the president of Nigeria on the homegrown school feeding program. And I'm sure that she'll be able to give a response. If there are any concerns that you have, she has tried her best to be able to explain the process by which, the aggregators are selected, the process by which this has been implemented following the directive of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, on the 25th of March, 2020. So if you have a question for the special assistant to the president, please do send it in now, and then we can get a response from her when she comes back in on the program. Please bear with us. I'm waiting for your questions in the meantime. Please do send in your questions. Please do send in your questions, and then we can take it from there. Yeah, she's just messaging me. Let me just, okay, she's trying to get back, and then we can continue the conversation and finalize it. I think it's an issue of location. It's an issue of location, but she will be with us any moment from now. Please bear with us. Please bear with us. She's trying to come in, and then we can take this from here. Oh yes, I think she's back in the studio. She needs to connect her mic and her camera, and then we can add her in. Please hold on, and then we can. Oh yes, I can bring her in now. Please bear with us. Mrs. Doro would, she's connecting back, and she'll be able to join us. Yes. Okay, I can hear you briefly, but oh yes, I can see you now. Yes, please. I can hear you now, but your video is static. Yes, I can hear and see you now. Can you hear me, Mrs. Doro? Can you hear me, Mrs. Doro? Can you hear me? Can you see me and hear me? Hello? I'm not sure she can see me and hear me. Okay. Let me try to reach her on WhatsApp to confirm that she can see me and hear. I can see her. I can see her. Oh, your mic is mute. I can't hear you. Your mic is mute. Your mic is mute. I can. I'm not sure why. Please bear with us. She's really having a network challenge. On her side too, I can. Her WhatsApp is not connecting. Let me leave her a message. Okay, our network is really bad. The message is not delivering. I'm not sure what the problem is, but let's hope that she tries. The internet is really challenging. Thank you for your patience, everyone, and thank you for being here. Please do bear with us, and I'm sure that she's going to be with us now. Let's try something. Okay, let's wait for her to try to reconnect. In the meantime, please keep the questions coming, and then we can take them before we wrap up now. Otherwise, if we can't, I'm sure that we can always arrange for her to join us at a later time and a later date. It's been a great time hearing and understanding the process at which the system is working. we can. Sorry for. Fine. I'm just trying to communicate with her, and then we can take it from there. Please bear with us. First, she's talked about how the aggregators are responsible in the whole process. And for you to be able to supply products for them, you have to register with the state government, in particular with the Association of Farmers or Suppliers of whatever produce you're making. So if you want to supply eggs, you should register with the Association of the Poultry Association in your state. If you want to supply rice, for example, you register with the Rice Farmers Association. Can you hear me, Mrs. Doro?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent.
I couldn't hear you for a while.
Sorry, before your final statement, I'm just doing a recap. That first, the federal government is financing this, but it is the state government that is responsible for identifying the suppliers of the material and those who are repackaging the product and getting them into the school. Also, you also confirmed that if anybody wanted to be able to be one of the suppliers or aggregators, what they need to do is to go and register with the association in their state, like the Poultry Association, the Butcher Association, and they have a chance from there to be able to supply at the state government level. Would they be able to also reach out to the Ministry of Agriculture in the state at all? Is that also one of the options for them, for anybody who is listening? Mrs. Doro, can you hear me?
Yes. For every state, we have a program manager. Okay. And the program manager coordinates with all the ministries. So I think the first point of call should be the program manager, who will now direct you to the relevant ministry.
Okay. So where can they find the program manager?
Or if there's a committee that has been set up for that purpose, she will know where to direct you.
Where can they find the program manager for those who are interested and who are saying, I'd like to supply egg, chicken, meat, and something?
Okay, so in every state, like I said, now for the supplies, once you are registered with the relevant association, information will flow from there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in every state, there's an office, there's an SIP office that you can walk into and engage with the program managers.
Excellent. What would be your final comment to Nigerians who have a doubt about this whole process and think that this is just a fraud, it's just a way for them to make money and that it is not genuine? Or maybe they came in late into the program or they perhaps missed some of the comments you're saying. In a summary and in a nutshell, what is your final comment to Nigerians?
What I will say is that this program is real and it's happening. We're feeding these children, public primary school, primary 1 to 3. Unfortunately, the pandemic is on now, but we've made public the list of the distribution centers. Code of Conduct Bureau is working with us on this, and they are verifying the households, and also you can walk into the schools and get information. We've had people that had doubted this program during school sessions, and we've directed some of them to the schools that are already part of the program, and they went there and they saw themselves. And the process is totally transparent. And if you engage with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, engage with your state Universal Basic Education board, they will be able to give you the necessary information.
Thank you so much.
They will be able to give you the necessary information so you can go and find out yourself.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Adeyemi-Doro, the Special Assistant to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the Homegrown School Feeding Program. Thank you so much for your time, Mrs. Doro, and for the clarification to our Nigerians who are wondering why are they feeding school children at home. Thank you for your time today, and we wish you the best of luck in your endeavor, even as you continue the distribution next week, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday in the 13 remaining local governments in Lagos.
Thank you, Honorable Dayo Israel. Thank you for having me on the program.
And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for using your data. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow with Pastor Itwa Igodalo of Trinity Out Lagos. From here to tonight, it's time out, signing out. And thank you for being with us and for always tuning in every day. And next week, we have another exceptional lineup for you. And you would be amazed at the number of guests we have. Always make it a date with us every evening here on CovInspiration with Dayo Israel. Have a great evening and God bless your family, your home. Eid Mubarak, happy Eid Fitri, Ramadan Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters and families. Because in Africa, almost every family has people who are either Christians or Muslim. God bless you.